So I got a great question from a viewer about why mucus might increase when supplementing with Betaine HCL to improve digestion. So I wanted to make a quick video going through why this can come about. Here we go.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So it was over on our video for did apple cider vinegar or Betaine HCL give me acid reflux? And it was user Hero of Old who asked, is it normal to get more mucus in the mouth after taking Betaine HCL? And normal and optimal are not always the same thing. It could be common, and that doesn't mean that it's normal or good. But when we're looking at mucus, this is usually a response from some type of reflux issue. So in this video, we were talking about people who feel like, oh, I just used some apple cider vinegar or I took a Betaine HCL and that gave me reflux where I didn't have reflux before. And reflux is really caused by not having enough stomach acid. It's not caused by too much stomach acid like advertisers like us to believe, because when there's not enough acid in that stomach, it won't trigger this valve at the bottom of the esophagus to close, and then the small amount of acid in there is going to come back up and burn us. So when there's things coming back up the esophagus and burning us, one response that the body can do is to create more mucus, and that mucus is meant to coat those delicate tissues there in your esophagus and your larynx and your vocal cords. And I had reflux and some other issues, and it caused me to lose my voice for 8 years. So I know a lot about this, but a lot of people, the body will make enough mucus to protect those delicate tissues there and those delicate vocal cords. And the mucus, it comes up into the mouth as well. And the person's like, oh man, I got all this mucus. And when I take Betaine HCL, it gives me mucus. But it's really just a response to that acid reflux coming up. And so we'll see this a lot with people who have to clear their throat a lot, or they have some type of chronic cough, where that cough is just the body trying to get the mucus off of those delicate tissues there in the throat. And they won't understand why they're coughing for years, even though they're not sick. And a lot of times it's just an acid reflux situation. But again, this mucus is just letting you know that, look, we have an acid problem coming up. And the solution to that is not to turn off stomach acid like so many advertisers tell us over and over again. It's really to increase that stomach acid so we can digest our food and get all the nutrients out of that food and break the food down properly. And then when the stomach is acidic enough, then it will trigger that valve to close. So when this is going on with this increased mucus, when they start supplementing with HCL, well, now they've added a small amount of HCL, so it's going to increase the amount of acid that can come back up, because they've added more acid, but there's not yet enough acid to trigger that valve to close. So that increase in acid is going to create an increase in mucus. So in most cases, this individual would usually need to take more HCL. And I don't know Hero of Old. I'm not giving him any advice. I don't know his situation or what's going on. But in most circumstances like this, if a person increases the amount of Betaine HCL that they're using, and most people only go up to like 5 capsules per meal. That's usually about what the stomach would make on its own. So that's about as much as I feel like a person would really want to use. Not that I'm telling you to use 5, but that's can be a max if you're viewing it like, oh, I want to do this like the body would do it if it had the ability to do this on its own. And if 5 isn't enough to trigger that valve to close, then sometimes there's a bacterial overgrowth in the stomach that needs to be taken down because the waste from that bacteria is alkaline and it's neutralizing those acids. So a person could be taking 5 HCL, but it's only as effective as 1 or even none. So the small amount of acid in there is coming back up and burning us, and then the body's making all this mucus to coat those linings. So if a person can acidify the stomach correctly, that reflux should stop, and then they shouldn't experience that mucus anymore. And another issue could be somebody has a hiatal hernia that's restricting that lower esophageal sphincter valve from closing correctly. So if that might be you, I'll put a link in the description below for our video about understanding hiatal hernias. So usually these troubles come about when someone first starts to use Betaine HCL, or maybe they're just not using enough. So they're like, oh man, this makes me worse. This doesn't really work for me. But these are issues that usually go away when a person uses it correctly. And there's other symptoms that can come up too. If you have a major overgrowth, it can create some discomfort or some nausea. So if you want to understand those issues that can come up when first starting to use Betaine HCL, you can jump over right now and check out our video on possible troubles when first starting Betaine HCL.